This episode is rated M for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
1, 2, 3!
Nope, this is not a mirage. You are tuned in to the Hot Tag here on the PFC Entertainment Network. Along with Shawn Grugel, I'm Jason Clouse. We certainly appreciate you tuning in on this very special and impromptu, and probably in some regards, my friend, some a low-key level of controversy is going to come out of this particular live stream. We are live streaming this on a Sunday afternoon, the day after Money in the Bank and the Worlds Collide special event. I don't know if you want to call that a premium live event, but between that and all the other headlines going on in the world of professional wrestling, we figured, what's cool about platforms like this is it gives us an opportunity to rechannel energy, and if we're dealing with any kind of ill feelings, this is our platform to get that shit out of us. Full disclosure, if you are within the vicinity of young children who you try to steer clear of adult-oriented language, we'll say, you're probably going to want to turn this off and catch it on the RSS feed at midnight. Okay? Sean, I don't want to start the show by saying, how's things going, because I already know. Let me back up real quick. For the first time ever on this particular program, fans have the option, Sean, to join the show in progress as it's happening live. And in just a moment, I'm going to post a link on the live chat on the Facebook feed. If you're watching us on riverside.fm, you can go to the PFC Entertainment Network Facebook page. Look for the link. It will bring you into a virtual waiting room, and then we bring you on to the show live as it happens. Or you can correspond with us during, through the live chat. I get the notification on my board here, and we want you to be a part of the show, is what I'm saying. All right, Sean. Personally speaking, you had a pretty big day here the other day. I don't know if you've referred to it or have talked about it on a public realm since Friday. So how'd it go, man? You look like you're in one piece. You look happy. I can assume things went well with your return into the ring.
Let's just say I'm getting too old for this shit. It took me longer to put on my boots than I actually lasted in this Royal Rumble. I enjoyed it. It was good seeing the fans again. It was nice hearing my name chanted again. It was nice sharing my sucker with another fan, if you get my drift.
Mm-hmm.
Probably about a 7 or 8 year old fan. Hey, what flavor sucker is that? What do you think I did? I threw it at him and told him, you tell me. So they got exactly the response I was looking for.
That's
Hit the
great.
ring. I threw out 2 or 3 guys as soon as I got into the ring, and I was down to the final 4. They threw out Dean Hendricks. I was in the ring with Dean Hendricks. Some guy, I'm trying to remember his name, Machine Gun, big motherfucker. I don't remember his name. And then JP Ono. And I tried to reason with them that they needed a man of experience on their side. Unfortunately, their manager, Real G Money, would not listen to me, and he ordered them to beat the dog snot out of me. And when they did, I kind of castrated them both and rammed them into one another, and next thing I know, I'm on the ground. So it definitely, how do I want to put this? When I was backstage, I was asking everybody that was going into this Royal Rumble, how old are you? How old are you? How old are you? I definitely was the eldest person in that ring by at least 20 years. And, oh, hi, Cat. Being joined by the Cat, special guest, running.
That's fabulous. Hello, kid.
But it, for me, and I'm just going to put it like this, it made me realize the business is for the young guys. I do not have a bug that's biting. And for me, it was a good match for me to go out on. So
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Because I know that's something that's been weighing on you. You know. So I was real happy that this opportunity had presented itself, and you're able to put the kind of period at the end of the sentence that you put on there and not another entity or circumstance, you know.
Call it for what you want, brother. I mean, the IWC can suck my balls. So.
That's, hey, I say that shit all the time. I mean, we could seriously incorporate that into the show here. But I believe, I don't know, Money in the Bank was, we'll start here, okay? Because everybody's talking about Money in the Bank right now. Overall, like, in full disclosure, I missed the ending of the Money in the Bank match, the men's match, and I didn't see any of the tag team match with Cena and Logan Paul. Now, I'm aware of what happened. I read the results, but what I saw, it didn't really feel like a premium live event all the way through. I felt like, in some regards, I was watching a premium live event match with, like, the women's Money in the Bank match. Brian and Quadell called it that Naomi was going over. And I was like, no, there's no way. There's no way. But she did. Okay. And I mean, those women, you could see, man, they were really trying, they put in their all to try to make that stand out like they do every year. But this year, you know, aside from a couple of botches here and there, I mean, that happens, you know, especially when you're dealing with athletes who are not used to being in this kind of environment, this kind of match. Say what you want, man. When you start incorporating, you know, the ladders and tables, I almost have props, and it's much more than that. You know, the ladders and the tables and all this shit, if they're not experienced in that in real time, I mean, you're talking in front of a sold out crowd and how many millions watching around the world. but they really did put on display their full talents, their full potential, and they really killed it in my view. What was your takeaway?
Women definitely had the match of the night. I found myself distracted. Uh, Reasons I don't want to get into on the show, but let's just say that there was other things that I was paying attention to because the pay-per-view didn't hold my interest, or POE didn't hold my interest. Uh, I thought it was worse than a Raw or a SmackDown.
I'm sorry. Did you just say worse?
Worse than a Raw
Worse.
or a SmackDown.
So you're talking like house show.
I'm talking pure house show. I mean, actually, I wouldn't pay money to go to a house show that was put on like this one. The women were the only saving grace in that match. Just let me say, Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. I thought it was pure garbage when you're talking about the women. And you were talking about the tag match. Well, let's just say John Cena was working so lazy. I don't even think he cared about what he looked like in that match. It was pure garbage. I mean, we can definitely go into the details of the pay-per-view or PLE, but I was watching Worlds Collide before we got on here, and you want to talk about guys that were putting into work who wanted the attention. It was the better premium live event. It was on YouTube, for God's sakes.
Mm-hmm. As I have gone on to social media earlier this afternoon, because like I said, like I missed the last part of the show itself. Something had popped up that required my immediate attention, and if I'm leaving a pay-per-view, you know what I mean? It's not like it's something minor, So when you say that you were distracted and that ties in, what do you mean I got something on my forehead?
I think Tim's drinking. I think he's day drinking. We need to bring him on.
Tim, go into your email, hit one of the previous links and get on the show. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I don't see anything on my forehead. Anywho, I started to see more glowing feedback about Worlds Collide, and they showed a clip of I guess what was the main event with Gable. What the dude's name? Thank you. I'm still learning the whole AAA thing. I knew about them. I read about them, but I don't dial into them. Now I'm going to have to. So just bear with. Oh, he's watching golf, and he's not there. Understood, brother. Hey, that means we're kind of like the split screen. He's watching us during the commercial breaks on golf, so that's cool. Makes me feel special.
Then we got Jeff. Is that Hosky?
It is.
Hosky? Oh, well, Jocelyn's in the room. Hi, Jocelyn. I'm like, oh, looky here. Who's Ray? The hot tag is back. Hell yeah. Jeff, about damn time that the hot tag is back.
Ray would be Ray Jackson.
Oh, nice. I'd actually like to hear. He likes that indie stuff. He probably liked that Worlds Collide match. I bet you.
Yeah. All right. Hosky mentioned Andrade, and
got a little on my screen.
I did see a lot of aspects of the ladder match that made me question. And I said it on Fatal 4-Way on Friday. Why is Andrade in this match? And I'm like, oh, they're going to need somebody to do some high bumps with. He'll take the high bumps. He's been known to do that. But holy shit, bro. There were several, I mean, right out of the chute, too. And as soon as the camera got on him, he either whiffed a punch or was blowing a spot here or there. And I don't know if it was nerves. I don't know, because he's been in ladder matches before. It's not like this was his first time. And I just kept thinking, what the fuck is going on with this guy? And he took away from the match in my opinion. Bro, I wanted LA Knight so bad to win this match. The window of opportunity with LA Knight is closing.
Yeah.
And okay, he's had a couple of runs with the United States title, but god damn it, man. There is no reason why he should not be main eventing SmackDown and be in the hunt for the world title. And if you don't want him working with John Cena, then move his ass over to Monday Night Raw and have him go for the world heavyweight title against whoever comes out between Jey Uso and Gunther on Monday.
Well, okay, so let's go to LA Knight first. LA Knight to me was the MVP in that match. You watch him towards the end of the match, and he looks so comfortable with doing some of those ladder spots. What?
My God, I gotta put this. Hosky made a good one.
Oh Jesus.
Hosky pops me, but when he does, I have to at least acknowledge it. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
The new Sin Cara. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're good, man. No, LA Knight was the MVP. He looked very comfortable on the ladders, very comfortable doing spots. And Chad Gable, man, that guy pound for pound is probably the best wrestler in the entire WWE. Why they don't, I mean, they're giving him matches, but not giving him the opportunity to carry a title is just a damn shame. I think the guy is magic. El Grande Uno Americano, or whatever the fuck he calls himself. El
Grande Americano.
El Grande, okay, not El Uno. He's, it's not. His twin Mexican brother. But the gimmick is over. Everything Chad Gable has ever done except for Shorty G has probably been over with the crowd. And why they aren't putting him right up there, for the Intercontinental Championship, I have no idea why.
No, it seems like we kind of got into a sidebar conversation on Friday, and I remember thinking, damn, I would have loved to have had Sean's opinion on this. What we saw presentation-wise at Money in the Bank, and you start seeing what the numbers are in the last few weeks on Netflix for Monday Night Raw. SmackDown has pretty much been consistent, not where they want to be, but it's been kind of consistent. The Netflix numbers are kind of taking a decline in the last month or so. And you look at what you just said about the pay-per-view not holding your attention. Money in the Bank is supposed to be that you have your big four, right? Like nothing touches the big four. And then right under that you have other pay-per-views that are not on that level, but they're still anticipated. There's still some sort of high stakes. It's a show that people look forward to. Money in the Bank and what was Hell in the Cell were those two pay-per-views. They had an opportunity here to, especially in Los Angeles, because Los Angeles has become a more involved fan base. Like they've always shown up, but they haven't always been over the top excited about shit.
Sorry.
Oh, I was like, are you playing a clip of something?
No.
I just feel like whoever is calling the shots right now, behind the scenes in WWE, I feel like it's starting near the top and starting to trickle itself into the presentation and what we see on the show. And my problem is, and I'm taking Dwayne Johnson off and putting him to the side. Dwayne Johnson is an asterisk in TKO in terms of being a board member. You know what I mean? Like he has a say. Yes, he does. Absolutely, he does. But if he hadn't been The Rock, he would not be here. Okay? When his appointment gave me a sense of hope for Paul Levesque, that the guy that Paul Levesque would have to answer to was a wrestling guy who got it. And with that, there would be a lot more leeway in allowing Paul Levesque to bring that NXT style booking to the main show, Raw and SmackDown. I was real hopeful about that, and we started to see glimpses of that with the resignation and the departure of Vince McMahon to the merger with UFC that became TKO. TKO is starting a very dangerous trend that if they don't change something here real quick, they are going to alienate the absolute core fan base of the industry that we know as professional wrestling or sports entertainment, and they're going to drive it into the fucking ground. I have serious worry about this. I can think back to when I was in Vegas for WrestleMania and looking at, because we went to the show, we went to a few different other things, but there was no shitting way. There's no way anybody who on average income could take their family of four, two of which are young wrestling fans, mind you, to do all the shit that you want us to go to. Now, I understand, they're in the business of making money. But if you're not appealing to the fan base, man, there ain't nobody spending their money on your bullshit. Okay, this is not the NFL. And this is not UFC. This is professional wrestling. And there is a fucking difference. And I need wrestling people to be allowed to call the shots for the wrestling product.
The thing of it is with TKO, they are coming into a business that was already established. But to me, we're actually watching another version of Jurassic Park. If you remember in Jurassic Park, when they are riding into Jeeps and they see the dinosaurs for the first time, the guy looks over at, actually, I think he kind of just said it to Jeff Goldblum. He says, "We are going to make a shit ton of money with this." When they got to the office, he was talking about how they can have a red level, an orange level, a blue level. They can have a coupon day. That's exactly what TKO is striking me as right now. They got a new toy. They got a new product. They are testing the waters to see how much money they're going to make. And it sucks for the average wrestling fan. Because I remember when I was going to the Palace of Auburn Hills, 200 years ago, and I was paying anywhere from $35 to $50 for front row tickets. I was front row at Joe Louis Arena when Steve Austin drove the Zamboni into Joe Louis. I think that cost me about $50. Imagine an event like that now, Stone Cold Steve Austin driving anything into a building, how much that's going to cost you. But wait, you were just there in Vegas. He drove in a four-wheeler. You
Right.
paid up for that shit. And you weren't even close to front row.
No.
It's a damn shame. And Laura, your hot take, not so hot because Jason and I already said it. It was the best match on that entire friggin' card. You're right. I watched Fighter Fest.
I'm sorry.
Well, let me put it to you like this. I told you how much I disliked it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I liked it better than the Money in the Bank last night. That tells you how poor of a poorly written show that was. Why? Let's just go over a couple of the matches real quick. Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria. The stipulations were if Becky Lynch didn't win the title, that she could never go after it again. But
Right.
if if Becky Lynch won, Lyra would have to raise her hand in humiliation or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you have created a storyline of Becky Lynch being devious, not winning the title, but trying to figure out ways to get that title shot away from Lyra? Instead, we have Lyra do a very heel move by holding up Becky Lynch's hand, and instead of hitting her, she hits a belly-to-back suplex on her for some stupid reason. I don't understand that at all. And then Becky coming out looked like her kid drew on her shirt and wearing Seth Rollins, one of his old outfits. It just, the whole match didn't make sense to me. Why? I think what's funny to me was the surprise. Here, let me do this. The surprise.
Air quotes. For those listening and not watching.
Of Ron the Truth Killings making his comeback. I saw this a mile away, Jason. We used to do stuff like this in the MWO.
Mm-hmm.
We used to do what we called a work shoot. And that's exactly what the WWE did. Now, Ricochet, who can't stop talking about the WWE because that fucker couldn't make it into WWE, and he's trying to be a big fish in a small pond in AEW, is saying anyone that believes that was a work is an idiot. It was a work, Ricochet. You're the idiot. There's no way. I mean, how long do you think contract negotiations take? You've been in the business for quite a long time. We've heard of contract negotiations lasting for months. It don't last hours. So for Ricochet to say that about the fans, number one, and I think he's ignorant. And number two, I think it was a very well played storyline by Triple H to finally start giving the surprises to fans who just want to sit back and enjoy the show.
I'm looking up real quick. I snapped over to YouTube real fast just to see what kind of numbers the clips of R-Truth returning were generating. 2.2 million on the WWE site. Okay. I'm not going to talk about the whole Ricochet thing because he annoyed me when he was in WWE. He annoys me even more now that he's gone on to AEW. I've never been a fan of this guy. Like I appreciate the fact that he can do all the flippy do bullshit. That's great. I'm glad you were able to do that. But that's not what I watch wrestling for. And when you have a guy that is exclusively a part of that presentation, I just don't dial into him. Okay? So I'm just, fuck him. He's irrelevant. The work shoot thing, though, WWE fans are, here's what cracks me up about this shit. WWE fans right now who are under the age of 35 want so bad for the return of the Attitude Era. The problem is the majority of them have no idea what the Attitude Era was. They've heard about it, they've seen documentaries about it, but they didn't experience it. And I know to some that may sound like the dumbest thing I've ever said on this show. Believe me, it's not, and it won't be. The Attitude Era was an experience. It was something that every fan lived, like really ingested. You know what I mean? It was something that will never, ever be duplicated. They can up the ante in terms of that border of what's deemed appropriate on whatever realm they're in, whether it's USA Network or Netflix. Obviously, with Netflix, you have a lot more wiggle room. But the art of the work shoot is as close as you're going to get to what was the Attitude Era that you're ever going to get. You know, and when I heard that he had returned, I still haven't seen the clip, and I'm going to watch the rest of it later on this evening when I'm at work, play catch up. But I can only imagine the pop that came out when they realized it was him and all that. But let me ask you this, Shawn. You know, Triple H made a comment of, kind of alluding to the fact that they were listening to the fans, that he had really released them, and, it was because of the groundswell of support that brought him back or made WWE realize, oh, we fucked up here. We need to sign this guy back right now before he goes to AEW. Is there any chance that you see that this was a organic groundswell thing? They're like, yeah, we should probably bring him back, or there's just no option of that. Like this was written this way for this reason.
This was written this way for this reason. The way I'm looking at it is, wrestlers right now in the WWE, AEW, Impact, they all have expressed about how they're so tired of these insiders. They're tired of these insiders ruining wrestling. And what they mean by ruining wrestling is essentially telling you what's going to happen. It's like going to a movie and knowing what the ending of the movie is before you pay to go see it. Why are you going to pay to see it? I think Triple H has been hearing those rumblings and wanted to bring the element of surprise back into the game of professional wrestling. I sincerely think that it was a work. I think it was a strategic work in order to, people have been saying for the last month or so that Triple H has been losing his grasp on what the wrestling fans want in professional wrestling. This was a way for him to save face. Why would you put R-Truth in a main event of Saturday night's main event one night and then release him the next day without him getting his revenge on John Cena, without him, 20 plus years of not being able to say goodbye to the fans? I don't see that happening. And this is why I've been saying this entire time that it was a work. And to Jeff's been driving me nuts all day about this. He says, my question from earlier, truth is gone and now round killings. No more comedy. Thoughts? There's still comedy in professional wrestling. Right now, Truth needs a refresh. He's been doing the little Jimmy deal for how long? Now he has to get serious, and now he has to get his revenge on John Cena. Is Truth going to be the next World Heavyweight Champion? I sincerely doubt it, but I do think he is going to get a measure of revenge on John Cena. Is he ever going to go back to comedy? I can't predict that future. It's going to depend on how well his new gimmick gets over. This is what they do when they need to refresh a character. Truth has been doing the same gimmick for over 20 years. The fans love Truth. And yeah, he's Ron Killings now, but he was Ron the Truth Killings before that. So if you don't think that there's going to be comedy in professional wrestling, if you think that TKO is trying to make it more serious, then I think you're silly, because wrestling is still entertainment. And TKO knows that if a person's entertained, they're going to invest more money to continue to be entertained. So, Jeff, I hope that answers your question.
All right, I just want to remind everybody, I just reposted the link in the live chat on Facebook. If you want to join the show as we're doing this live, you hit that link, you answer a couple of questions, it puts you into a virtual waiting room. I get the notification, then I bring you on the show. If you are on your phone, I ask that you have your phone horizontal. Otherwise, it messes with the way the show is produced in post. So if hit the link, come on the show, but please do me a favor and just make sure that your phone is held horizontally instead of vertically. I love this, and I love the fact that you said Ron Killings needed we needed to hit the reset button with him. He needed something different, and yeah, he's funnier than fuck. But so was Santino Marella, and he had a ceiling. He had a ceiling in terms of where the character was going to go. And, and I'm taking nothing away from his experience with MMA and all that stuff, because he is a badass. But he just wasn't what promoters at that time were looking for a main event guy. But he certainly should have had a spot on the show because he was goddamn entertaining. Ron Killings is something different. He more than stands out. You see that guy, you know he's a star. And at 57 years old, or whatever the hell he is doing shit in there right now that 25-year-olds wish they could, and he's got more than enough personality and charisma that he can do anything that he wants. And maybe we start to see a little bit more of the Ron the Truth Killings that we saw in TNA. A more serious, a more grounded guy. But he was the NWA champion, so they saw something in him. With Paul Levesque understanding the value that Ron Killings has to this day, and hearing and seeing the support and the backlash that he and WWE got with the news of his release, you have to pull the trigger on that. We've said a million times on here, Sean, timing is everything. And they've got Night of Champions on the horizon. This is a great, great platform to put Cena versus Truth. One more. Man, put a cage around them, something. This is the kind of shit that would let a cage match stipulation make sense. This is what a steel cage was made for, because now this shit's got personal. And for us, we're looking at this like, all right, this is going to be a different presentation than we saw on Saturday night's main event, that we saw at Capital Punishment, or whatever that pay-per-view was that they headlined 2008, 2009, something like that. It was in Washington, D.C. It was a one-off show. This is going to be different. I really appreciate it. Or you know what they could do, Sean? They could drag this out until SummerSlam and have this be the main event of one of the nights at SummerSlam.
Well, they're going to have to drag it out because they're at this last Money in the Bank show, they were teasing John Cena and Logan Paul. which, both of them were lazy in that main event last night, so I personally wouldn't want to see it. Just a reminder again, real quick, Jason. Click on the link if you want to join the show. I'm seeing a lot of people answering what we're talking about here. Get in here. I'd love to see a third or fourth party in here. Make this a roundtable because this is what this show's about. Is about being interactive, especially when we're doing. Jason, you proved me wrong time and time again with this live stream stuff. I don't think it's going to work. And then we get on here and then boom, here it is. We got, people chatting it up. So get in this room. Jason's son proved me wrong. Why don't you get in here and prove me wrong, ladies and gentlemen? Laura Phoenix, Eric, Tim, Mark, any one of you. Get in here, be part of the conversation.
I don't want to say it. Never mind. I almost did an impromptu throwback to a running gag that we had on the 80s show. But, listen, I can't, Sean. I just don't feel right about it, man.
After all, it was their mom's favorite show.
If you love your mothers,
I knew.
You will click the link and come on the show. Oh, Jesus Christ. If you knew, you know, that's, if you listen to Power Tripping through the 80s, back a little while ago, that was a running gag at the end of the show when you're trying to get people to subscribe and share the show, to the point to where I made a fucking t-shirt out of it. If you love your mother, hit share, subscribe. It was fun.
You know what's fun to me this week, real quick?
Yeah, what?
Will Ospreay saying that AEW sucked.
Okay. I saw some, I don't know. Tell me that clip was taken out of context. Like, there's other words before and after that comment, because I can't believe, and I didn't watch it. Full disclosure, I just can't. There's no way Will Ospreay, all people, is going to go on live television and say that the company that he works for sucks because of who their world champion is.
No, that's exactly what he said. I mean...
The only reason AEW sucks right now is because you're a world champion.
Here, let me play that again.
Listen to mention again. The only reason AEW sucks right now is because you're a world champion.
And then he has this look, like, oh shit.
Yeah, he did too. As a kind of like that Booker T reaction, where as soon as it come out, you knew, oh man, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah. But Fyter Fest was better than Money in the Bank, and shockingly, I thought Worlds Collide, and I haven't even seen the main event, which was Dominic and Penta yet, or not Penta,
Octagon.
I haven't even watched that match yet. I was almost through Chad Gable versus Vikingo before we got on here. And, with AAA, there's a lot of flippy dudes, and I was expecting it. But
Libre. I mean, that's what they're known for.
But, Jeff, if you want comedy in wrestling, look no further than Mr. Iguana. I was laughing my ass off at that guy. He was... for luchadors who take wrestling so seriously, he wasn't one of them, and I enjoyed the hell out of watching him.
I really appreciated the different look of the show because when I look at a wrestling show, especially a promotion that I don't spend a tremendous amount of time watching, I focus a lot on the background, not just what's happening in the ring, but what the ring looks like, what the lighting looks like, what's the entrance look like, how is the building set up. I paid stupid close attention to that. I really appreciated the overall look and feel of the AAA show with the green, white, red ropes, I thought was fucking awesome. And because it made, when I saw that, I'm like, oh goddamn, this is AAA. This is not Monday Night Raw. This is not SmackDown. This is not AEW Dynamite. This isn't any of that shit. It is AAA. They have their own look, their own color scheme, their own presentation. Everything else was kind of blacked out. I really, really, really appreciated that because then it got me thinking. I know this is so stupid, but it got me thinking to the way Monday Night Raw looks now, to the way SmackDown looks now, to the way AEW looks right now. And here's something that I noticed. I really wish each show or brand had its own identity or took initiative to make something stand out that's different. Raw and SmackDown now has all white ropes, and I fucking hate it. The only reason it says or it feels like Monday Night Raw is because they have their logos on a digital screen. You turn on and their mat's black. Okay. SmackDown has the blue mat, but again, all white ropes. I fucking hate it. I want the blue ropes for SmackDown. I want the red ropes for Raw. Because then I go over and I see a clip from AEW, and now they have all white ropes. And I'm like, what are you doing? As soon as WWE went to white, AEW should have gone to red or some other color. What? I know it sounds stupid, but it's the little shit like that, man, that drives me fucking nuts. That's why I was all the time paying attention to what other promotions were using for their rope colors, and that's why I changed mine up. Because when you saw a picture from one of our shows, because it's the blue rope scheme, that's MWO. It sounds stupid, man, I know, but it's a psychological thing.
Yeah, well, let me get your opinion on this. As you were watching that PLE, what did you think? Well, number one, we kind of talked about it last night, but first of all the commercials between the matches, number one. But number two, all of the different logos and product placement that was going on the show last night, including, what did they call it? Was it the red something ladder? The Red Bull ladder? Or
Fireball ladder.
Fireball ladder. A liquor. I remember when it was taboo to talk about liquor on a wrestling product. But now we're advertising it on the biggest ladder on the card, Fireball ladder, amongst all those other logos. What did you think about all that bullshit?
It is... Yay.
Well, I mean, the Prime logo was one thing, but now we're talking 20 logos and product placement. And digital billboards.
This is one of the biggest problems. This is in glaring in your face form of the trajectory of WWE. I understood why Vince McMahon didn't want anything on the canvas. The way he saw it, the way he was brought up, is that canvas was sacred ground and it needed to be clean. And that is one McMahonism I truly, truly appreciated, because I felt that shit.
The canvas of an artist for the workers to do their art on.
Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Because here's the thing, man. There are people that may be watching us right now that aren't wrestling fans. In fact, they could be on the fucking polar opposite of the spectrum and are the biggest critics of this. But when you tune into this show, you're not listening to a couple of fucking marks. You're not listening to just some fly-by-night fan who stumbled upon this thing 5 or 10 years ago. No, this has been a lifestyle for the majority of our lives. It is in our blood, it is in our bones, and it is in our heart. We take this shit more seriously than just about anybody that I know. Straight up fact. And I'm here to tell you, it is because of WWE. It is because of what Vince McMahon brought to the worldwide stage that got me invested in this shit. Okay? And I'm not talking about him as a man. Him as a man on a personal level, with everything that has been alleged against him, he is not a good person. Okay? But he has done a lot of good. He has done a lot of good for a lot of people. He has done a lot of good for the millions of fans that are now spending billions of dollars a year in the art, yes, that's what I said, of professional wrestling or sports entertainment. When TKO became a thing and took over WWE, this was one of the things that I was nervous about, that they were going to start bastardizing the ring and the overall presentation of pro wrestling to make it more, in their view, a more UFC type presentation. And look, again, I understand they're in the business to make money. But there is also, in my view, this is where I can see there is more emphasis on how much money can they get in to their bank accounts instead of what you're giving back to the wrestling fans that pump all this money into your business, into your product, into your brand. And I'm getting real. Here's my, okay. I'll break it down like this. I'm sorry to go so long-winded. I'll break it down like this. If they're going to put all these stupid fucking logos on the Slim Jim table that's about to be busted, are you serious? They're legitimately calling this the Slim Jim table, the Fireball ladder, the fucking vodka that Cody Rhodes is spokesman for is across the digital apron of the ring, around the barricade of the ring, on the entrance. Okay, that's fine. You want to do that? Then lower the fucking prices at the box office, because you are sending this company into a trend that the hardcore and the majority of your fan base cannot afford. This is not the fucking NFL. This is not UFC. This is not this is not the Super Bowl. Wrestling fans are different, man. Wrestling fans, the wrestling business is different. And I promise you, you keep jacking these prices up, you won't have enough paper to flyer a town the day of a major pay-per-view because your building is half full. Why? Because you've charged them out of the building. People can't afford it. I'll give you an example. To get into Allegiant Stadium for WrestleMania on Sunday night, which was a higher ticket price if you bought them individually, solely because of John Cena and Cody Rhodes, you could not get into that building for $300 fucking dollars. And guess where you sat? On the opposite side of the stadium, on the very top bowl behind the entrance. You were watching the entire show on a video screen. If you were going to do that, you might as well sit home and watch it on Peacock. You feel me?
Absolutely.
So you do one or the other. You want to plaster the shit out of every sponsor that you can get in contact with. Cool. That's good on you. But drop the fucking prices. If you're going to keep raising the prices, then give us a product that isn't bastardized by all this corporate bullshit, because that's not what wrestling fans have tuned in for.
100% agree with you, man. I don't know if they're trying to generate extra revenue to be able to afford to continue to purchase companies like Impact or AAA, but it's coming at a cost, and the cost is going to be your attendance. And the less attendance you have, I know the more sponsorships you're going to sell. I can't imagine what the next incarnation of toys are going to look like. I can't wait to buy my Slim Jim Bam Bam Bigelow cruiser car. So.
Oh, this is the other thing that I just read. That flowed out so smooth. I'm like, man, did you practice that?
I don't know where it came from, but I want one now.
Holy shit. Okay, that was good. Expect to see sponsorship logos on the guys' gear.
Oh, yeah. Well, Brock Lesnar was doing that years ago when he first came in from MMA.
Yeah.
You could already see Psycho Clown. He was wearing the WWE logo on one side and the AAA logo on the other side of his mask at the Worlds Collide pay-per-view. So you're right, I can see that happening. We're probably going to start seeing characters and whatnot from these wrestling companies get involved. I mean, we're already seeing that with, like, I think the company's called Wrestling with Unicorns. Seeing a Sasquatch wrestle now, it's kind of crazy.
Terry from Harry and the Hendersons.
Yes. I just, we've complained for years about how corporate baseball's gotten with all the strikes. Or, I'm still a big proponent against baseball because of the strikes. We've talked about that before on the Sports Reel, or I've made mention of it in the chat room at the Sports Reel. I wouldn't be surprised if wrestling gets more corporate, where we're going to see a more structured business type structure when it comes to the company, because pretty soon employees aren't going to be like at-will employees. They're not going to be contracted. They are going to probably have to be put underneath a corporate umbrella. That way, in case they get hurt, TKO is going to be able to protect its assets in another capacity compared to what they're doing now. And I see the business as a whole changing, and I don't know if it's going to be necessarily for the good or not.
I really don't. I'm glad that what started out as a regional or territorial business has had the opportunity to become or maintain such a footprint in pop culture. I really am. I love the fact that the business is at a place where people can make a very good and comfortable living. I'm glad that people can live out their dream, much like a baseball player, much like a football player, much like a basketball player. There's a strong contingent of those who want to be pro wrestlers. When I first expressed interest, I wanted to be a pro wrestler. Once my mom understood that this was not a fad, and this wasn't something I was just going to be interested in for a handful of months before I moved on to the next thing, she always said, have a backup plan. Have a backup plan, because you never know, right? And I did. I always had a backup plan. But nowadays, it is conceivable where you're like, yeah, I'm going to make it to WWE. I'm going to make it to AEW, and I'm going to have $1 million contract downside guaranteed. And then I'm going to be selling hundreds of thousands of dollars of, merchandise with my name and my face, and people are going to want to buy my shit. You know what I mean? But God damn it, dude. There's a reason why wrestling has been able to evolve with the times, which is incredibly important. But it's because it's been wrestling people that have navigated the ship. It hasn't been corporate America. Corporate America generally looks down on pro wrestling, the performers, the promoters, and most importantly, the fans. And now you own the shit. You have ownership stake in the largest and most successful company in this genre on the fucking planet. And what are you doing with it? It feels like you're just trying to squeeze the juice out of the orange, man. And then what happens to the orange?
Eventually, nothing
I'm,
left.
yeah. Now, along those lines, with all this upheaval that we've seen, insert one more time, Vince McMahon. And the rumor that he is working with some investors in Saudi Arabia in an effort to buy back World Wrestling Entertainment. What's your thoughts on that?
I personally don't want to see it happen.
I'm with you.
And there's a reason for that. Because if anyone's going to destroy what I create, I'm going to be the one to do it. And that's how I feel Vince McMahon probably feels about it.
110%. Yeah. You said that, and I think about that angle with the NWO. I'm going to inject it with poison. Yeah. I'm going to kill my creation. When I first saw that headline, and I actually read the article from Inside the Ropes Wrestling, they do a really good job. I'm impressed with them. I think they're based, out of England, but man, they've got their finger on the pulse of shit, and I really appreciate. They're one of my go-to sites. But I was like, that's exactly what I thought. Like, he's going to go in there, and he's going to fuck it up so bad, but be able to pull every red cent out of it before he crashes it like the Hindenburg, and it's, oh my God, 40, 50 fucking years of history would be wiped right the fuck out. Yep. Our childhood, our adulthood, you know what I mean? In some regards, wiped right out like a fucking tsunami, dude. Yeah. Well, I don't want it.
If you think about it, though, that could be why WWE stopped producing digital media. If you don't got your digital media, if you don't got your VHS tapes, if you don't got your DVDs, guess what? It might not be there much longer. Better hold on to those. Don't be getting rid of them, because they're going to be worth some money someday.
Brother, I got boxes.
I know you do.
Boxes. They're heavy. But and I love that, because I get that, we can go back and it's unedited.
Yep.
It's as it happened. Like, I get to hear Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's actual music when he walked out to the ring, and it wasn't the bullshit that they play on Peacock now. It was the same theme that the Chicago Bulls used. And I think Steamboat used it before the Bulls. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I believe that that's accurate.
No blurred WWF logos.
Yeah. Hillbilly Jim. Don't go messing with a country boy. I don't know why that's edited, but it is. I don't know, man. It's fucking scary.
As Laura Phoenix called them, those pearl clutchers are the ones that's ruining wrestling too. So, can't call anyone a hillbilly anymore, but you can call them a redneck. That's what I am. So.
Fucking insane, man.
Absolutely, brother.
Anything else on your radar that you would like to talk about? And for those who are watching, if there's anything that you want to talk about, look, if you don't want to come on the show, fine. But if you want us to talk about something real quick, drop us a comment in the live chat, and we'll address it. So now we've got Jey Uso and Gunther on Monday for the World Heavyweight Championship. And this is going to be, in terms of high profile matches, this is the last of a pretty incredible run that Jey Uso has been on in recent weeks. A lot of high profile matches, Had a non-title match with Braun Breaker on Monday Night Raw. That's after defending the title at the pay-per-view. This match was, or the match with Logan Paul on Saturday night's main event, picked up the win there. This match last night with Money in the Bank, and now he's got Gunther Monday night on Raw in Phoenix, Arizona. Do we see the crowning of a new champion here? Does the ring shadow row? Blah, blah, blah. I love Gunther. I really do. He is one of my favorites. And it cracks me up whenever when he calls himself the ring general. It just like I giggle every time. I'm like, he's so cute.
Yeah, we get a new champion on Monday, and his name is Seth Rollins.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
So he's not going to wait till WrestleMania again to cash in.
No, Jey Uso's, in my opinion, he's still got the fans, but he's lost his momentum. Gunther is not the shiny pearl he once was. He has lost any sense, in my opinion, of credibility since being choked out by Jey Uso. I don't care who's going to win the match, but with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed in Seth Rollins' corner, we're going to see a new champion Monday night.
Going on record?
Going on record.
Okay. All right.
Let's face it. Don't you feel that the Money in the Bank briefcase has really lost its luster in the last few years? The only time I sensed any type of excitement when it was cashed in is when Tiffany Stratton last held it last year for the females, for the women. And when she finally cashed it in on Nia Jax, that was a big pop. But I think the couple years previous, I think the men's Money in the Bank has really gone downhill.
I agree with you because of one statistic. 80%. That means, excuse me, that means 20% of those who attempted to cash in did not.
Right.
And okay, reality-wise, that's going to happen. Not everybody's going to cash in successfully. You mentioned the Tiffany Stratton cash in. The reason why that got such a big pop is because they built that the right way.
Yep.
There was anticipation, and they teased it a couple of times, and sometimes it's the most subtle things, like a close up of a look on her face. But she, that cash in was significant. Now, interesting enough, up to this point, the women have had 100% success rate in cashing in Money in the Bank. The one they had last night, the match last night, was the 10th women's Money in the Bank ladder match. So have to wait and see if Naomi is successful in that trend. I do feel like it has lost a lot of its luster for the men's side anyway, because it could be depending on who they've put it on. I think of like Baron Corbin. I think of Otis. I think of The Miz one year. Take nothing away from The Miz. I just didn't feel like he should have won that. But then you get other guys who have won it previously. Your Dolph Zigglers, your CM Punks, Rollins at that point of his career. The heist of the century, man, that they still replay that as one of the most iconic moments in WrestleMania history. The heist of the century. It's one of those iconic WrestleMania moments. That's why I wanted LA Knight to win so bad, because he would be that breath of fresh air that you knew he had it. You know he's a threat, and it could happen at any moment. Bro, the fans want so bad to pop so hard for this guy. Give him his moment. We're not going to feel that with Seth Rollins.
No.
We're just not. We're going to get the same popcorn fart in church reaction that we got with The Miz when he cashed in on Randy Orton.
Well, I
You
just think the bigger story is when Seth wins the title and wrestles Jacob Fatu. I think that is your. I think that's your cherry on top. That match there. I doubt Jacob will win the World Heavyweight title right away, but I think that's the feud that we're looking at right now. I don't think it's Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Jacob Fatu, and JC Mateo. I think JC Mateo, I think he's going to burn out quicker than he lights up. I just see too much wrong with the character. So I think Seth Rollins versus Jacob Fatu is going to be your eventual main event for the heavyweight title.
Well,
On record.
I would pay a ticket to see that, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
All right. Well, let's go ahead and start winding this down. Unless there's anything else you'd like to discuss on here.
no, man. I appreciate the fact that we finally got to reconnect and do this again.
Mm-hmm.
I've been looking forward to it, and I look forward to talking more wrestling with you here in the future.
Absolutely. And we certainly appreciate everybody that tuned in here on the live stream and those who tune in on the RSS feed when this drops at midnight.
You live
So
stream fuckers are cowards. Cowards!
that's going to be a new t-shirt coming to. You're all cowards.
You're all cowards.
Well, listen, I'll make mention of this real quick because I feel like stirring the pot a little bit, at least for a more local contingent of the fan base. There is going to be a new rush of merchandise that's about to drop on the PFC Network online store. There's actually going to be a special link for this store that I'm not quite ready to launch yet. But let's just say, since we're on the hot tag here, it does revolve around the Michigan Wrestling Organization. And what's to kind of peel the curtain back a little bit, we are having something of a reunion in terms of I'm having a reunion picnic to kind of bring everybody back together, as many as possible. Some have other obligations and things of that nature that's going to prevent them from being there. But something I'm really looking forward to. No, we're not doing a show or anything like that, and it's not even really out there in terms of public presentation. But it's something that I'm really, really looking forward to, and there's been I've put a lot of thought into it in terms of what all I want to do with this. I guess, Sean, it's more or less my way of thanking the roster. I never really had that opportunity to do that in a proper setting. It's been online, or if I ran into J.J. Hughes at a Walmart, of several weeks back, a couple of months back, and that's the first time I had actually seen him in person in a couple of years, since I suspended operations. And it's just like, then with everything that happened with Todd, I went to his funeral and a lot of alumni there. And it was so good to see them. I just wish it was under a different environment. Yeah. I was talking to my girl about it, and it's something that I had been wanting to do for quite some time. But I don't know, man. There was just a sense of urgency then I needed to just bite the bullet and actually do this. So we do have something of a reunion that's coming up later in the summer, and it's going to be cool, man. It's going to be pretty emotional, I feel like, and to kick it all off, or not to kick it off, but kind of like the centerpiece is my team is going to kick Jim Briggette's team's ass in kickoff. The PF Classic is what we're calling it. You know, Big Skinny, Josh Hicks, MWO Hall of Famer, had a trophy made that we were going to use for Slamathon. The winner of Slamathon would get, because we had renamed the Slamathon tournament after my brother, and he had actually had a trophy made, and then I went ahead and closed the company, and we were never able to use it. But so he's offered it as the prize for the celebrity kickball game.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I've turned it into a whole marketing thing. Team Icon versus Team XCon. It's fucking awesome.
That
It's
is
like
awesome. Yeah, and I'm willing to donate my services as the full-time bench sitter, drinking beer. So, physical activity almost sounds like cardio. In this fact, I don't do cardio anymore. So,
We need a kicker or something like that.
kick. I can't hardly get my foot off the ground anymore, brother.
All right, we'll have you be the like the bench coach.
There we go. That works.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, with that, we appreciate everybody who tuned in here on the live stream. And again, those who tune into the RSS feed after the fact. Check out the online store, pfcstore.printify.me, for all the latest merchandise, or pfcsummer.printify.me. That has all of our summer lineup, there's a lot of other shit on there. So check that out. We appreciate all of the support. And if you wouldn't mind doing us a solid, as the kids say, hit the share button for us. Hit the like button, hit the share button. We want to get as many eyeballs, as much attention as we possibly can, and you would really help us out with 2.3 seconds of your time. So if you could do that, that would be awesome. With that, go out, be awesome to yourselves and to each other, and we'll see you next time on the Hot Tag here on the PFC Entertainment Network.